আসসালামু আলাইকুম। ATN বাংলা এখনকার আয়োজন এডুকেশন আমার আপনাদেরকে স্বাগত। আমি সিরাজুল বাসির চৌধুরী আপনাদেরকে শুভেচ্ছা জানাচ্ছি। আমরা চলে আসলাম আমাদের নতুন টপিক নিয়ে কথা বলার জন্য। আজকের টপিক Oxbridge admissions and studies. So those students are studying at Cambridge and Oxford universities, both universities I'm talking about. We will be talking about admissions and studying at those world-class universities. বর্তমানকালে আমরা জানি আমাদের এথনিক মাইনরিটি বলেন, BME মেম্বার স্টুডেন্টস বলেন, এশিয়ান বলেন, এবং আমাদের বিশেষ করে ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশি স্টুডেন্টস অনেকে কিন্তু অক্সফোর্ড এবং কেমব্রিজে পড়ালেখা করছে, এবং এটা কিন্তু আমাদের গৌরবের বিষয়। দিন দিন বাড়ছে। আজ থেকে 20-30 years ago there were maybe just one or two maybe hand, you can count in hands those students used to study at Cambridge and Oxford, but nowadays there are more students. They are going to Oxford and Cambridge, and we are very proud of them, and they are doing brilliantly. আমরা চাই আমাদের সন্তানরা আরও ভালো ইউনিভার্সিটি, যেগুলো রাসেল গ্রুপ ইউনিভার্সিটিস বলেন, এই দেশে কিন্তু ওয়ার্ল্ড ফেমাস অনেকগুলো ইউনিভার্সিটিস আছে, সবগুলোতে যাবে। বাট today's particular topics we will be focusing on discussing about admission procedures, admissions at Cambridge and Oxford, and also studying the environment and experiences students are facing in there. We will be talking to students. We have a couple of guests. They will be talking about their current students at Oxford and Cambridge, and they will be talking about their study, and also we will be focusing on admission procedures. আমরা কথা বলবো এডমিশনের বিষয় নিয়ে, এবং যখন কথা বলবো আপনারা যারা প্যারেন্টস বা স্টুডেন্ট যারা you would like to go to Cambridge and Oxford, you can ask any questions, you can make any query. We are not expert, but we will be hopefully we'll be able to give some information out. এবং আমরা চাই আমাদের স্টুডেন্টরা যখন কথা বলবো তাদের যদি কোনো এক্সপিরিয়েন্স থাকে তারা শেয়ার করতে পারে, and also those if you are watching the program and studying at Oxford or Cambridge, you can also make a phone call and give some good tips as well. তো Oxford, Cambridge admissions and studies, আমাদের আজকের ATN Bangla program live broadcast হচ্ছে 779 Sky Channel, and we are on Facebook. আমাদের ওয়েবসাইট www.atnbanglauk.tv, আমাদের অ্যাপসও আপনারা দেখতে পারবেন, ATN বাংলার ওয়েবসাইটে দেখতে পারবেন, এবং প্লিজ ডু শেয়ার আওয়ার প্রোগ্রাম অন ফেসবুক। আমাদের আজকের টপিক Oxbridge admissions and studies. পরিচিত হই, আমার একজন অতিথি এখন আমার সাথে আছেন, ওনার সাথে আজমাইন জরিফ, আমার খুবই প্রিয়, সে আগেও আমাদের এডুকেশন আওয়ারে এসেছে, এবং উই আর ভেরি প্রাউড হি ইজ স্টাডিং at Cambridge University. Assalamu alaikum, Azmain.
Walaikum assalam.
কেমন আছো তুমি?
I'm very fine, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
No, that's very, I'm very privileged to have you on Education Hour, and particularly after a long time, I'm meeting you. You came to this program in the past,
Yep.
and it's great to talk how you're getting on, and also today's topic particularly you have chosen to talk about admissions. I know next week, probably 10th of August, they are going to publish the result final, isn't it?
Yeah, A-levels next week.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the students will know whether they're going to which universities,
Exactly,
including Cambridge and Oxford,
Yeah,
your
yeah.
universities. So আমরা আজকে প্রোগ্রাম করলাম এই কারণে কথা বলার জন্য যে আজকের তুমি জানি তুমি বাংলা ভালো বলতে পারো, যে আমরা একটু কভার করবো এডমিশনের বিষয়ে, তোমাদের যে এক্সপিরিয়েন্স অক্সফোর্ডে কেমব্রিজে তুমি যে এক্সপিরিয়েন্স এই ব্যাপারে কথা বলবো, এবং বিভিন্ন বিষয় নিয়ে কথা বলবো, and obviously in 2 weeks time we will bring program about the success. আমাদের স্টুডেন্টরা যে এ লেভেলে সাকসেস করলো এই বিষয় নিয়ে আমরা ওদেরকে নিয়ে আসবো।
I'm looking forward to that, inshallah.
That's very good. So তুমি কেমন আছো?
I'm very fine, and it's always a pleasure being on the show. I always say when we're off air, I always say how I love, you always progressing this and always focusing on education. So it is a privilege and an honor that you've had me on. Thank you so much.
Definitely. So currently, are you passing your holidays?
Yeah. Just finished third year, graduated with a BA, and then 3 years of clinical school, starting in literally a month now. So, yeah.
Wow. This is very good. And what is your subject? You're studying at medicine, is it?
I'm studying medicine, but then, medicine, the medical degree is 6 years long. 5 years of that you study medicine, and then in your third year you take a year out and you study whatever you want to. So I was doing management studies at the Judge Business School.
And then another 3 years.
And then another, 3 more years. I'm only halfway through.
This is very good, but why medicine is too long?
You tell me. It's just there's the sheer volume of content you've got to get through. And that's why, yeah, it's just 5 years pure medicine, and then that 1 year, everybody just goes off and does what they want to do.
Do you call them internee doctor or something, is it? That type? No.
No, that's intercalation. So that's your intercalated degree. Yeah, it's just you get a bachelor's or whatever.
But this is very good, actually. Intense sort of course, isn't it?
Yeah.
And at the same time, loads of practical experiences you gain through your study.
Yeah, definitely.
And then you go for a professional life, isn't it?
Exactly.
And in a way, this is very good because you have depth of knowledge and experience and skills, and so in real life situation you can deal with problems and issues.
You'll have to ask me in 3 years, but yeah, hopefully that's the plan.
Now, currently you have 3 years, halfway through. So you have experience 50%.
Yeah.
The 50% to go. But still is great to talk about this. তো আমাদের আজকের টপিক আমরা কিন্তু নিয়েছি কথা বলার জন্য এডমিশনের ব্যাপারে। আর আরো কিছু কথা বলবো যে এর থেকে মাইনরিটি গ্রুপ থেকে there are many minority students, I mean compared to maybe when you went to 3 years ago. And even before you, those students got to Oxford and Cambridge particularly. They had obviously not many students that time. Per year, maybe 50, 60 or even less. But now they're going more and more. I'm talking about the BMG group. And Asian also a lot of students are going now. And we are very proud of them. কারেন্ট যে কোহর যেটা আছে এই একটা ইয়ারে সাধারণত কেমব্রিজ তো তোমাদের বিভিন্ন সাবজেক্ট আছে আমি যা জেনারেল ইনফরমেশন জানছি ইফ ইউ নো দ্য আনসার ইউ ক্যান সে অর ইফ ইউ ডোন্ট নো অবভিয়াসলি ইউ ক্যান লুক ফর ইট এভরি ইয়ার হাউ মেনি স্টুডেন্ট ডু দে টেক the Cambridge University?
I think around a few thousand, so 1 to 2,000, I think.
Okay.
But I'm not sure exactly.
No, that's fine. So if they take 1,500 to 1,600 students every
something
year,
like that.
and আমরা যদি আশা করি যেমন আমি এটা ডেটা দেখছিলাম যে লেটেস্ট ডেটা সেখানে বলছে যে at least 20 to 23% now ethnic group যাচ্ছে. So 22%, that means almost getting near to quarter. So 20 to 23% যদি ethnic minority group সেটা আমি বলছি সেটা আফ্রিকান ক্যারিবিয়ান ইন্ডিয়ান চাইনিজ এশিয়ান ethnic group যেটা যাচ্ছে very encouraging, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. I think just a point there, because sometimes when we say ethnic minorities, we take everyone together, but especially in Cambridge, because I've been involved in the access work, there's a specific group of students who are still underrepresented. So that's the BPA group, Bangladeshis, Pakistanis, and Arab students. They're still underrepresented compared to total. It's still improving, and I think I ran these numbers, in terms of admissions, applications, and everything, and it's trending up, which is fantastic. But we're still underrepresented when you look at the.
Well, I think what you corrected me now or clarified that I'm very happy with that, because ethnic minority there are many communities coming there, but when you particularly take, say, we are talking about British Bangladeshis, then we still need to improve on that. Isn't it? আমাদের আরো admission আমরা চাই.
It's very promising, but there's still a lot of room for improvement.
A lot of room for improvement, and definitely we can target maybe years to come.
Inshallah.
We can achieve that goal.
Definitely.
And obviously আমরা যখন বলি ইন্ডিয়ানরা এবং ইয়েরা ওই বলি চাইনিজরা they are doing better compared to, say, for example, maybe I'm wrong, correct me. Couple of years ago, last year, I was looking at the data, the pass and sort of achievement in study. So Chinese number 1 actually, and then coming Indians, and they're coming like this, and we were like a 5th or 6th around. But we are British Bangladeshi. We are doing better than Pakistanis, better than some other thing. But definitely we are not reaching yet to near to Chinese or Indian.
No, I think that's. You're definitely fair. I think.
What are the reasons for?
Do you want me to get political?
No.
I think.
I mean, obviously, free and frank.
I think when we look at it, it's a very structural issue in terms of if you look at wider society as a whole, British Bangladeshi household income, for example, compared to white British income, compared to Indian, Asian Indians or other groups, we are. I think what was a significantly small percentage. So there is a socioeconomic background to it in terms of the areas we're concentrated in, and in terms of the areas where people are going to school, where you see high Bangladeshi concentration, not only in London, because I think whenever we speak about admissions and stuff, we also need to remember there's a north and south divide. You see many students from London and the south going to Oxbridge, not so many from Birmingham, Manchester, from the north. So there is that issue as well, and we know that there are a lot of strong Bangladeshi presence in Manchester, Birmingham, etc. So it is a socioeconomic issue in terms of the vast majority of British Bangladeshis are being educated at state comprehensives. In terms of where they're being educated, it may not be as prosperous as other areas.
Yes.
There may not be as high areas of higher education progression. So I'd say what we see in terms of university admissions is a symptom of a structural disease, because it is something that needs to be fixed, but it's not being fixed. And I think that's very important that we remember that.
And definitely, and also some schools probably they do not, I'm not saying it's not bad criticism, they do not prepare their students to target for Oxford and Cambridge, isn't it?
Again, I'm not a head teacher or someone so that I wouldn't be able to give that opinion, but I'd say some schools just simply don't have the resources, then simply don't have the funding to do so. And then the onus then falls on the students who have to be motivated and who have to work harder,
yes,
compared to other schools which may have more resources,
more,
exactly.
And also link actually they have to create. Say for example, if you need to encourage our students as well, because if we take a group of students to look at Cambridge and Oxford universities, say a day tour or something like this. You know, when you to motivate students, you need to show what is happening there.
Exactly.
If you know the name, if you don't experience, don't go there to see something physically, then that will give them encouragement. And it's a positive, thing to show, yes, this is the place you can come, and it's a world famous university, these tools, and then if you come you can experience this kind of thing, and then you can listen to some lectures and some talks, and they generate some information, so they'll be interested to do so. But if we don't expose these sort of things to them, how would they know?
The primary issue is that students, because I was access officer for our Bangla Society 2 years ago now, and I worked closely with university admissions, and what we find is that students are simply deselecting themselves. They don't believe Oxbridge is for them. Even though they may be highly capable, they may have the results, they may have the academic background and the academic drive for it, but they just simply think, oh, Oxbridge isn't for me, it's for upper class white males to attend. And it's breaking that image, breaking that myth that is very important. Because the beauty of the Oxbridge process is that when you're sitting at that interview, when your admissions directors and tutors are considering your application, they're not seeing your school name and saying, okay, this guy goes to this school, therefore we're going to let him in. What they're looking at is this applicant, these are the resources they've had access to, how have they performed in comparison to that? They contextualize the application process, and they look for academic potential. They're not looking for Nobel Prize winners at the age of 18. I certainly wasn't.
And they're not looking for who you are.
Exactly. It's who you can be, and whether or not you have that passion, whether or not you have that interest in your subject. And many British Bangladeshis do, because you've had these conversations with them, you find the survey data and everything, but they're just not applying. So you need to break down those myths, you need to encourage more applications, and you need to not have that fear that you belong.
So raise the awareness at the same time to tell them, yes, being, I'm going to say affirmative, positive, you can make it, you can do it. It's for you, and this is your country. You have to feel that this is your country and you can do it. However, I will come to প্রিয় দর্শক, আমরা কথা বলছি আমাদের আজকের টপিক অ্যাডমিশন ইন কেমব্রিজ এন্ড অক্সফোর্ড, দুটোকে একসাথে কিন্তু অক্সব্রিজ বলা হয়। Am I right? Why do you call Oxbridge?
I don't know. I think it should be Camsford or something. Our name should be first. Cambridge should be first. It's just they just put it together.
Whatever.
It's a portmanteau. Exactly.
So দর্শক, আমরা যখন কথা বলছি, আমরা অ্যাডমিশন, আমরা একটু বাংলায় কথা বলবো যে অ্যাডমিশনের প্রসিডিউরটা একটু জিজ্ঞেস করবো, এই ব্যাপারটা কি হয়, কতগুলো এক্সাম হয় এবং কি রকম যেতে হয়। But I have got some information, Azmin. It was from 2019. According to data released, I'm talking about 2 years back, the number of offers made to British, Black, Asian and ethnic minority undergraduates rose to 684 students, or 23.6% of the UK intake. So when I say UK intake in 1919, that means they have got many students coming from abroad as well. Am I right?
We do have international students who come, but it's as far as I know, the universities both across all UK universities have a cap in terms of how many international students you can have. So I'm not sure the breakdown between that.
So they're talking about 558. Say for example 23%. So it does mean you're right, 2,000 students. Because 558 around 2,200 students, and they accept 20. Now the number of black students accepted rose from 80% students to 106, an increase from 3.2 to the intake of 3.7. UCAS analysis shows that taking predicted grades and subject choice into account, Oxford is now more likely to make offers to students less likely to progress to higher education, to students with African and Caribbean heritage, and to students with mixed heritage. So I can see things are improving.
Yeah.
But whereas I can see another example coming here, 2021, 34 offers were made to black students through the Target Oxbridge program in the year 2021. What is this Target program? Do you know anything about that?
Yes, as far as I know, this is for students of a black background, and it's a mentorship program specifically targeted for them. Because, again, that's another student group that does see low progression to higher education and low progression to Oxbridge as well.
Okay. Obviously, I can see that this is like a positive discrimination, you can say, in a way, isn't it?
I wouldn't say it like that, just because when we look at the intake, there are students who don't have external organizations, but they still have the school support. They still are from, certain families which are able to provide dedicated Oxbridge tuition, dedicated support to craft that Oxbridge application, which disadvantaged students may not have access to. So I see these as more mentorship.
So maybe someone doesn't know about that, let them know it is happening.
Exactly.
It's like making them aware about this is on. Hello, hi, you can come.
Exactly.
Because sometimes some parents, some families, they live in, I'm talking about just, I'm not generalizing, this is my personal opinion, obviously, affluent areas. They know they're studying at grammar schools or, those private schools. They know something is happening around. They're well informed.
Exactly.
But some schools, the students are not well informed.
No.
So that's the kind of facilities they're going to carry out or give to those students, so that they'll be interested to apply for those universities.
Yeah,
this
very
is very
much
good.
leveling the playfield.
Procedure কি ইউনিভার্সিটি তোমার তো অ্যাডমিশন দেওয়ার সময় আমি জানি মেডিসিনে বেশি ছিল, বাট নরমাল প্রসিডিউরটা কি?
3 years ago. This has been a long time. So when you're applying to university, I think everyone knows the process. You go into year 13, you start your UCAS application. For Oxbridge, it's the 15th October deadline, so you're submitting your personal statement there. Oxbridge often also have admissions tests. So for me, it was the BMAT, and the BMAT is not the issue with medicine is that there's admissions tests for all medical schools, and so Cambridge and Oxford use the BMAT. You can also take the UK CAT if you're applying to other schools. But if you're applying to history, for example, you may need to take the history admissions test. If you're applying to another humanities subject, you may need to take the Thinking Schools Assessment, or TSA Oxford. So depending on whichever subject you're applying to, you will need to take an admissions test, and that happens around October, November time. Once your results come in, then you may be invited to interview, and interviews take place around December. There, when you're at interview, you're sitting in a room with another admissions director, or maybe two admissions tutors, and then they'll conduct an interview on your subject, on your personal statement, on your interests, or an unseen problem or something. After that, you'll have, December is then taken by the tutors to discuss your application. They'll make a decision in terms of whether or not to make you an offer. And then around beginning of January, you see those results coming in, and you either get your offer or you don't.
And these are definitely conditional offer.
These are conditional offers, and then obviously exams in May and June.
Whether you pass 3 A's or 3 S's or whatever it is.
So you'll need to get those grades in come June once you take your exams, and then August, obviously, in a week's time or so, you'll find out.
So when you apply for supporting statements, what kind of support can you get from, and where can you get those support from?
The personal statement?
Yes.
Yeah. So the personal statement is very much, again, this is an issue because when you write a personal statement, in theory, it's supposed to be personal. So you're supposed to write it yourself. But we know that people have a lot of help in terms of writing it. Some people have access to a lot of help when writing it. Some people have to write it themselves. And this personal statement is a way for you to demonstrate your interest, because Oxbridge is very much about your academics. How are you interested in your subject? You must be able to demonstrate that, because that's your first way to show, that's your first form of communication with your admissions tutors. So there you're describing your interests, what kind of supercurricular activities you've undertaken, why you're interested in the subject, why do you want to spend the next 3 years studying it, why Oxbridge as well, I guess. And so you're supposed to craft that, and then you submit that. And I know we say the university admissions process starts in year 13, but in my opinion it starts even earlier than that. It starts, in theory, for those going into year 12 now, because there's nothing stopping you exploring your interests from now. You've taken A-levels for a reason, right? You've chosen your 3 or 4 A-levels for some particular reason. So whatever thing you're going to apply for at university, it's worthwhile looking into reading further into that subject, reading into areas that interest you, writing articles, trying to attend lectures. Obviously, less applicable now with COVID, but attend those Zoom lectures, look at those YouTube videos, try and demonstrate that interest from now, try and cultivate that from now, so that you're more prepared come next year when you're actually submitting your application.
তুমি যদি বাংলায় কথাটা বলো একটু সংক্ষেপ কি বলবো যে আমাদের যারা প্যারেন্টস যারা তুমি জানি বাংলা বলতে পারো যেমন প্যারেন্টসরা কি করতে পারেন বাচ্চাদেরকে যারা যেতে চায় অক্সফোর্ড বা কেমব্রিজে?
শিওর, আমার মেইন মেসেজ হবে যারা যে প্যারেন্টরা আছে ওরা যেন প্রথম যেন মানে একটা বন্ধ না মানে স্টপ যেন না করে। আমার মনে হয় যে প্যারেন্টদেরকে এনকারেজ করা উচিত, যে বাচ্চাদেরকে বলা উচিত যে গো, বিকজ again I'm not generalizing in terms of when we sometimes look at these surveys from কেন স্টুডেন্টরা অ্যাপ্লাই করছে না, why aren't you applying to Oxbridge? আমরা দেখি যে যখন মেয়েরা থাকে as children, প্যারেন্টরা বলছে যে না তুমি বাসায় থাকো, তুমি বাসা থেকে তুমি ইউনিভার্সিটি যাবে, তুমি দূরে যাবে,
তুমি অক্সফোর্ড যাবে না, কেমব্রিজ যাবে না।
এক্স্যাক্টলি। এখন যেমন কেমব্রিজে আমাদের কিন্তু অল ফিমেল কলেজ আছে, তিনটা অল ফিমেল কলেজ
হোস্টেল আছে যেগুলো, হ্যাঁ
শুধু অল ফিমেল, সরি 2 undergraduate all female colleges আছে, and they can apply there, they can study there, without having to mix if that's a concern of yours. But what I'd say is parents can encourage kora dorkar je tumi jao. At the same time, I don't think they should stop, যদি একটা চাইল্ড যদি একটা লেকচার যেতে চাচ্ছে or একটা পাবলিক ইভেন্ট হচ্ছে যেটা ইন্টারেস্ট হবে তার সাবজেক্টের সঙ্গে রিলেটেড, তাহলে ওইটা যেন স্টপ না করে, যেন বলে যে go, I'll take you, আমি তোমাকে নিয়ে যাচ্ছি ওখানে। And I think it's very important, I think the main thing is যখন অক্সফোর্ড অ্যাপ্লিকেশন সাবমিট করছে, it's very important that you have a motivated student. So our main message হচ্ছে প্যারেন্টরা যেন এনকারেজিং হয়, যেন স্টপ না করে, and whatever they can do to support it. Exactly. They should support however they can.
আমরা আরো কথা বলবো, একটা বিরতিতে যাব আমরা। প্রিয় দর্শক, আমরা কথা বলছি এডুকেশনের আজকের টপিক অক্সব্রিজ অ্যাডমিশনস অ্যান্ড স্টাডিজ। অক্সফোর্ড এবং কেমব্রিজ ইউনিভার্সিটিতে যাওয়ার জন্য যে অ্যাডমিশনের যে কিছু প্রক্রিয়া আমরা কথা বলছি, এবং কারেন্ট স্টুডেন্ট যারা তারা কথা বলছে, আপনাদের সন্তান আমরা চাই ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশি হাই টার্গেট করবে। I know there are all universities are good, but we are particularly focusing on today Oxford and Cambridge কে নিয়ে কথা বলছি। আমাদের একটা ছোট্ট বিরতি যেতে হবে, বিরতির পর এসে আমরা কন্টিনিউ করব। If you have any questions or any kind of query আপনাদের যদি থাকে, please do make phone call or ask a question. And anybody would like to give any tips, any students you are watching, please do. বিরতির পর আবার দেখা হচ্ছে, আমাদের সাথেই থাকবেন। প্রিয় দর্শক, বিরতির পর আবার এডুকেশন আওয়ারে আমরা কথা বলছি। আমাদের আজকের টপিক অক্সব্রিজ অ্যাডমিশনস অ্যান্ড স্টাডিজ। সো অক্সফোর্ড এবং কেমব্রিজ ইউনিভার্সিটিতে স্টুডেন্টরা যখন যায় স্টাডি করে এবং পাশাপাশি তাদের যে এনভায়রনমেন্ট, যেটা এই এক্সপিরিয়েন্সগুলো আমরা শেয়ার করছি। সো উই আর টকিং অ্যাবাউট অ্যাডমিশন প্রসিজিয়ার্স, অ্যাডমিশনস, অ্যান্ড এট দ্য সেম টাইম the skills, knowledge, obviously academic qualification they gain after their admission. And এই বিষয় নিয়ে আমাদের আজকের টপিক। আপনারা কোনো ধরনের মন্তব্য, কোনো ধরনের প্রশ্ন, কোনো ধরনের কোয়ারি, and if you know something about your son or daughter, they are studying at Oxford and Cambridge, please do make a phone call and আপনাদের thoughts and reflection শেয়ার করতে পারেন। আমাদের আজকের এই প্রোগ্রাম লাইভ যাচ্ছে ফেসবুক লাইভ and YouTube live, and also on our website www.atnbanglauk.tv. আমাদের সাথে গেস্ট ছিল আজমেন জরিফ, who is currently studying medicine at Cambridge. Welcome back.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And also, it's very privileged and proud. We have another student now. She joined all the way from Cambridge. She just arrived. Zainab Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum, Zainab.
Walaikum assalam.
How are you today?
I'm all right, thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure to have you. I know you've been in this program many years ago, and now you're back.
It's very exciting to be
So
here.
how are you? How was the journey?
Long.
Long.
Spent most of it looking at Google Maps.
Okay. One thing, it's been 3 years now.
Yeah.
So have you finished your degree?
Yeah, I graduated in
What subject?
classics.
Classics.
Yeah.
So do you have any intention to do masters, or currently are you working?
Currently, I'm working for the Students' Union.
Students' Union?
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that.
Okay,
Yes.
definitely.
Something you want to say? Yeah?
Inshallah, not sure what's on the table for postgraduate courses, but it's definitely something I'm considering. So I'm keeping my options open.
Okay, so 3 years. I know Azmain finished 3 years, so he's like 50% because he's studying medicine. 50% experiences he gathered already, or skill or academic qualification, whatever you can say. And you have gathered full your classical. Because 3 years you finish your degree, that's done.
Yeah.
That's done. So আমি তোমাকে দুই একটা কথা জিজ্ঞেস করি তাহলে। আমরা কথা বলছি কিন্তু ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশি স্টুডেন্টরা দিন দিন, you understand Bengali, do you? A little bit. I'll talk in English then. So ethnic minorities and particularly British Bangladeshis are going more and more to Cambridge and Oxford.
Yeah.
And definitely if you compare 30 years back, 20 years back and now, a huge improvement. But still there is a room for improvement, and we need to encourage particularly British Bangladeshi to go more and more there. Obviously, Azman and myself, we talked about 23% ethnic minorities, but when you come to British Bangladesh, still less.
Yeah.
What is your opinion on that?
I think it's sad to see that's the case, but you know, it's definitely something that the university is very, very aware of. There was someone in my role right at the start of my degree who was also Bangladeshi, and so he made the university very aware of it, and so this is something that is actually being worked on, which is really, really exciting.
This is very good work going on,
Yeah,
isn't it?
really,
So
really
do
good
you
work.
have a forum or anything like that, as you mentioned,
Yeah.
where you can have a chance to talk about that?
Yeah, so alhamdulillah, I, in my role on the Students' Union, get a lot of access to high up people. So we talk about BPA access, which is Bangladeshi, Pakistani and Arab students, because those are the most
Disadvantaged group.
Yeah, so along with black students, amongst the category of BAME, black, Asian, minority ethnic students, BPA and black students are the most underrepresented. So I'm really lucky to be involved in conversations that look at encouraging more of those students to apply to the university, and we're looking more and more at actually working with student societies and students who are actually doing work on access and outreach schemes to see how we can support them and to take their opinions and experiences on board a lot more.
Excellent. So do you have any chance to work with any external agencies? Say, for example, students from different parts in this country. How would they know that you are doing this kind of job? How can they link with you guys?
Well, the best thing about being in this day and age is we've got the internet. So it's really easy to kind of Google things about Cambridge and find things. A lot of these, there are so many schemes now that are run by current students. AIM Cambridge is specifically for BME students. There's Inside Uni, which talks a lot about the current experiences of students across the colleges, across the subjects. There are so many, I can't even think of them all, but they're really, really good. So if you look those up, you will find things, and I'm really looking at finding a way to collate them and put them in a list, and it won't even be an exhaustive list because there are so many students doing amazing work. But one thing that I tell current students going into sixth form to look out for, especially Bangladeshi ones, is a scheme called Click Cambridge.
Right.
Now this is run by what we call schools liaison officers. So schools liaison officers are the people who will actually go into schools or invite schools to come to Cambridge and actually talk to students about what university life is like and encourage them to apply and make them realise that Cambridge is absolutely a possibility. And so they, with their knowledge and expertise, have started this scheme, and it's been, because of the pandemic, has actually been a series of webinars, and I did a Q&A with them in November last year, but also all sorts of things. So things like a lot of Bangladeshi students really struggle with the literacy skills when it comes to writing personal statements, so they've really tailored it to their audience, and I just think it's amazing work that they're doing.
Wow, this is great.
Yeah.
Azmain, Zainab was explaining about how they're working and from this union, and also how people can, students, those that are approaching or those who would like to go to Cambridge, they can find kind of link there. And obviously you are working with the, there is a society called Bengali Society there, isn't it?
The Bangla Soc, yeah.
Bangla Society.
Yeah.
And you were involved in this, isn't it?
Well, I was president this year.
You were the president this year?
Yeah. And
right.
then,
so tell us about your activity, some of the activities we'd like to hear.
Well, I was lucky enough to have Zainab as the access officer on the committee before. So yeah, this year what we've really focused on is getting out there and actually, speaking to students. So I was access officer before, so I was in Zainab's role in my first year. And what we did is, go around to schools, we talk to them, we try, again, this is what we're doing, I guess, on a national scale now, but at a local level, going to schools, talking to them, encouraging them to apply, answering any and all questions they have about Cambridge. This year, I mean, yes, we've had a pandemic and that's been difficult, but there are some beauties of Zoom. And so we were really lucky to run a mock interview session. So what we see is that obviously some students lack that dedicated personalized support that others may be able to pay, tutors for and really throw money towards. So what we did, and with a fantastic group of volunteers, I'm really grateful to them. We got them together, so all across all different subjects, classics, history, medicine, natural sciences, whatever. We got them together. We got students across the country who signed up, and this was in partnership with Trinity College. And we got them onto a Zoom webinar. We then broke off into breakout rooms, and then we were able to give them dedicated mock interview support. So we were able to give them a mock interview and then say, okay, when you're going to have your mock interview in 2 weeks' time, when you're going to have your actual interview in 2 weeks' time, these are the weak points, and this is what you need to work on.
This is very good.
And obviously this year...
Feedback straight away,
exactly.
And take the points.
Exactly. And the thing is, this is the first year of virtual interviews, right? Because before you had been coming into Cambridge and whatever, so it's a whole new environment that these students have never experienced. So we were really lucky to support that. I think that's a highlight, I think. I don't know if Zainab would disagree.
We will talk more, but before that, what we'll do, one of the schools in Newham Borough, in inner London, Brampton Manor Academy, I know in the past I mentioned that 55 students, I think currently, they were offered, conditional offer, either go to Cambridge and Oxford. And this is the highest, ever any schools receive like that, And I think sixth form, they're sixth form talking about. And mostly students, I'm not saying only ethnic minority are going there are other communities as well, but one school, 55 students going to either Cambridge or Oxford. This is a great news, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely. So, প্রিয় দর্শক, একটা স্কুল টাওয়ার হ্যামলেট নিউহাম বরো কাউন্সিলের ব্রাম্পটন ম্যানর একাডেমি, এখান থেকে প্রত্যেক বছরই কিন্তু বিভিন্ন স্কুল থেকে স্টুডেন্টরা অক্সফোর্ড বা কেমব্রিজে যায়। এই বছর বিশেষ করে 55 স্টুডেন্টস, এদের মধ্যে অনেকেই কিন্তু আমাদের এথনিক মাইনরিটি, ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশিও আছে, পাকিস্তানি ইন্ডিয়ানও আছে, তারা চান্স পেয়েছে। সুতরাং লোকাল একটা বড় থেকে যে এরকম স্টুডেন্ট, এটা প্রাইভেট স্কুল না, এটা কিন্তু আমাদের জন্য একটা গৌরবের বিষয়। Many students are going there. So we are going to watch a short video clip about what happened there and how, there is a news about this, and also they are going to show how ethnic minorities are doing better and better day by day. আমি যদি অনুরোধ করি, প্লিজ আমাদের ট্রান্সমিশন টিমকে আমাদের এই ভিডিওটা দেখানোর জন্য। ছোট্ট ক্লিপ। থ্যাংক ইউ।
I'm going to be reading Mathematics and Philosophy at the University of Oxford at Christ Church College.
I've received an offer to read chemistry at the University of Oxford.
I've got an offer to study law at Cambridge.
I'm going to read Human, Social and Political Sciences at the University of Cambridge.
4 students with a shared ambition to show background is no barrier.
It means so much to me because I think it's something that I've never seen as attainable, and to be in that position to receive an offer just means so much to me, considering that my parents didn't go to university as well. So to be the first in my family is a very big deal.
Daniel barely believed the email when it arrived.
It was very surreal. I guess half my expectation was that I'd get a follow-up email saying this has been a mistake, sorry for this.
3.41.
They are among 55 students from Brampton Manor Academy with offers from Oxford or Cambridge. A record-breaking result.
I guess the stereotype is that people from a particular background get into Oxford and Cambridge, but the fact that we're now seeing an increase in state school students and ethnic minorities get offers shows that hard work and talent is truly being recognised.
Over half the pupils here qualify for extra funding.
I came from Bangladesh, so I'm from an ethnic minority background. But I'm also from a working class household, and I feel like when you think about Cambridge, that's not the first image that springs to your mind.
The school sits in one of London's poorest boroughs, but is outperforming many leading private schools. Its secret? Hard work.
As a school, we've never looked at other schools and compared ourselves to them. It's just always been about what we can do as a cohort to achieve the best possible grades.
So this is our progression board for all the students that have gone to Oxford and Cambridge since the sixth form opened. We opened in 2012, and this sort of reflects, as the years have gone on, that we've gradually sent more and more students to Oxford and Cambridge. Look, when we built this board, we imagined this would last us 15 or 20 years, and 5 years on from putting it up, we're having to move it.
The roll of honours run out of space. A reminder to all students, their brilliance can shine.
I would hope that seeing people like me and people like my friends go to these top institutions inspires people that are younger and people that are looking up to their futures to kind of understand that these places are not closed off to us, and that people that are from different backgrounds can still access the same level of high academic opportunity as other people that are from more privileged backgrounds.
It was really important to us that this pandemic didn't have any scarring impact on the students, and we don't believe it has. In terms of what the secret is, I really don't think there is a secret. It's about high quality teaching. It's about students not making excuses for why they might not be able to achieve, to focus on how good they are, how capable they are, and putting in that hard work. And when that happens, you get these sort of results. We believe our students inherently are good enough to go to these top universities. So this isn't about us trying to be like someone else. It's about telling the students, look, you are good enough as you are, and we're going to put all of our energy into getting you the best A-level results that we can, because those A-level results, when you get 3 A stars, are going to attract the likes of Oxford and Cambridge to you. So we strongly believe the fairest way for students to be awarded grades is through exams. So all of our students will be sitting a full set of GCSE and A-level exams this summer, internally assessed, robustly moderated, to make sure the students have earned those grades. Because if they're going to go off and succeed at Oxford, Cambridge, Warwick, Imperial, they have to be at the right academic level to do that. We believe our students are ready for that. We don't believe they need grades handed out, and they'll achieve that in their internal exams this summer.
Wow, this is very good.
Yeah.
They have shown interviews, and one of the students is Tasnia, I think. And Tasnia, including other students, those are watching, and particularly Tasnia, good luck. 10th of August this month, you will get your final result. Obviously, you are offered conditionally. And she was one of my guests in the past, and probably you know her. And hopefully all 55 students will have their chance.
Fingers
What
crossed.
do you think?
Fingers crossed.
I think the removal of A-levels this year has been really promising. I mean, we've seen a lot of grade inflation, and I think, you know, obviously things do go wrong in exams, but there's a lot of familiarity there.
Can they make appeal against that suddenly? If say for
They-
example
they
3 A
can.
star and 1 miss, just they don't have a chance, can they secure their place to, you know, wait or so reassess the paper?
They can, and there's always the option of reapplying. But even before, when Brampton Manor was starting to really make the news with their admissions, before the pandemic in 2018 and 2019, most of the students who received offers did get into university. And they did get into Oxbridge. So it's a real testament to the school's teaching and how hard they push their students, and also the motivation of those students to do well and to achieve the grades that they need to succeed.
Absolutely. We have to go to a short break again, and then we will come back and talk about, particularly both of you can give some good tips about those students who would like to go. And second thing, your experience and your, I'm talking about the environment and your highlights, maybe you can share with us. And that would be really good for all of us to know.
Yeah, definitely.
প্রিয় দর্শক, আমরা কথা বলছি আমাদের টপিক অক্সব্রিজ অ্যাডমিশনস অ্যান্ড স্টাডিজ। সো আমাদের এই আজকের যে টপিকটা হচ্ছে অক্সফোর্ড এবং কেমব্রিজ ইউনিভার্সিটি অ্যাডমিশন এবং পড়ালেখা নিয়ে। আমাদের একটা ছোট্ট বিরতি যেতে হবে, বিরতির পর আবারও দেখা হচ্ছে, আমাদের সাথে থাকবেন। প্রিয় দর্শক, বিরতির পর আবার এডুকেশন আমরা কথা বলছি। আমাদের আজকের টপিক অক্সব্রিজ অ্যাডমিশনস অ্যান্ড স্টাডিজ। সো Oxford and Cambridge, both together they call Oxbridge in short. Admissions and studies. So we were talking about the admission procedures. Previous two segments we mentioned about the ways of applying. At the same time we talked about experience, supporting statements, and also in general we're talking about ethnic minorities, and especially British Bangladeshi. How many of them are now getting chances in Oxford or Cambridge? It has improved since maybe compared to last 20-30 years back and now. So many of our students are going to Cambridge and Oxford. Still, we want more students to go there. Still, it's not compared to Chinese or Indian background. We are not doing near to them. So, আমরা চাই আমাদের অন্যান্য ইউনিভার্সিটি স্টুডেন্টরা যাবে, ভালো কথা। বাট আজকের যে ফোকাস যেটা আমরা করছি অক্সফোর্ড এবং কেমব্রিজের উপরে, এবং বিশেষ করে অ্যাডমিশনের যে এই বিষয়টা কি, এবং আমরা এটাই কথা বলছি যে আমাদের স্টুডেন্টদের সেটা হাই করা, মানে এইমটা হাই করতে হবে। উই শুড এইম হাই, অ্যান্ড অলসো হাই এক্সপেকটেশন থাকলে, প্যারেন্টদের সাপোর্ট থাকলে অনেক, এটা কম্প্রিহেন্সিভ স্কুল থেকেও কিন্তু অনেক স্টুডেন্টরা যেতে পারে। আমরা বিরতির আগে একটা ব্রম্পটন ম্যানর একাডেমি নিউহামের 55 স্টুডেন্টস, they were given conditional offer either in Cambridge or Oxford. তো এটা তো একটা বিরাট সাকসেস, এই যে বিষয়গুলা। তো আমরা কথা বলছি, আপনাদের কোনো মন্তব্য, কোনো ধরনের প্রশ্ন, প্লিজ ডু। Our program, we are broadcasting live on Sky Channel 779. We are on Facebook, www.atnbangla.uk.tv. Also, we are on Facebook and YouTube. Do share our program. আমাদের দুজন অতিথি আছে, Azmin Zarif on my right. Welcome back, Azmin.
Thank you.
And on my left, Zainab Ahmed. Welcome back.
Thank you.
So we have been talking about the admissions and some of the successes as well as how we can improve on. But one thing I'll come here to talk about an issue actually. The obstacles facing BAME students are also socio-economic in nature. A Runnymede Trust, I hope I spelled it correctly or I pronounced it correctly, study focused on Caribbean, Bangladeshi and Pakistani students at Cambridge and found 76% of students who worked in the holidays to fund their studies received poor grades. Why is that? Because they're busy, that's why, or at study, or?
I think it's a combination of factors. You can't put it down to any one thing. So there's a term that we use called the attainment gap or the awarding gap, depending on what university you're at. Which means that certain students are less likely to receive good grades compared to their peers. So the students most affected by this are black students and disabled students, but I wouldn't be surprised if Bangladeshi and Pakistani students found similar things, and this can be because, as you said, they're not able to revise as much because they're working during the holidays, or they haven't been given certain foundational skills at school to bolster their education or mean that they're at a good standard when they start university, or even just not knowing where to go for help can sometimes
this is probably
be a problem.
for a particular year. That's okay. Given that 75% of the BME population live in 88% of the UK's poorest areas. And that's true, we know that. And one can see the destructive effect that socioeconomic background has upon academic success, particularly at elite universities. So this is, this can be, isn't it?
I mean, this goes back to what I said in the first segment in terms of this, what we are seeing is a symptom in terms of admissions, in terms of attainment. It's not a root cause. And again, I don't want to get too political, but this does require, we need to address the socioeconomic disparities, because I think the long-term goal should be, in theory, we shouldn't be having this conversation. We should not have to celebrate this because it should just be the norm, that you get in based on your academic achievements, not because you're British Bangladeshi, not because of certain socioeconomic backgrounds. It really should be about, everyone's on a level playing field, which we just don't see. In terms of explaining the data, I guess, if people are working to support themselves, support their families, raise sufficient funds for the next year, they're not able to revise, they're not able to get a head start in terms of the reading list, they're not able to undertake internships, they're not able to go and actually develop their actual work. So For example, if you're doing medicine, you may maybe go into the lab and do a research project, and that will help you for your next year, as opposed to if you are stuck having to work to support yourself and raise funds for the next year. So it's this that we're seeing, and it's not again, this is a socio-economic issue and therefore a structural issue, as opposed to something intrinsic to the person themselves.
That's very good. I've got some question. Yes, no. It's not a yes, no question, but both of you can answer.
Sure.
And that's good for, it's not about the testing you, it's about your experience to share.
No.
Can I apply to both Cambridge, I'm talking about someone else's question. Can I apply to both Oxford and Cambridge?
No.
No. Why not?
UCAS just doesn't allow you to.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's right. But
If you're going to apply to Cambridge, not Oxford. Since we're both Cambridge, we're just going to say apply to the better
It's the
institution.
better uni.
Yeah.
Okay, right. I know, unfortunately, we don't have anybody for Oxford today supposed to join, but I'm very sorry about that, viewers. Okay, and the next question coming here. Does it matter which college I apply to at Oxford or Cambridge?
Ooh, maybe? Would that be?
Is there
It
particular
matters.
choices?
It matters not for your chances of getting in.
Yeah.
It matters for your own experience of the university. Did you apply directly?
Yeah.
So what you can do is you can apply directly to a college, or you can do an open application. Even if you do a direct application, you may find yourself getting pulled to another college, which means that you might receive an offer for a different college than what you applied for. But for the most part, people end up at a college that they love. So things that I would advise...
I mean, is there any criteria for that?
No, I mean, other than there are 2 women's colleges, and so if you're a man, don't apply to those.
Obviously.
Not really.
That's a mistake I made.
Did you actually?
No.
I really fell for that. So things that I recommend when people are looking at colleges are like the domestic factors more than anything else, and sort of if you have the opportunity, and inshallah, because things are now opening up a bit more, to visit colleges, definitely do that and see if you like the culture and the environment of the university.
Absolutely.
You're like living there for 3 or more
4 years, 5
years.
years, 6 years in your case.
So you want to know that you're somewhere that you love to be and you love to study, is what I'd say.
Should we clarify what a college is, just in case?
Please.
Yes.
Please.
Yeah.
Go for
So the university is a collegiate university. What it means is that there are 31 colleges or institutions.
31, yeah.
So these are all, I guess, these colleges put together as a university. We don't necessarily have a central campus building, and the college is going to be where you spend most of your time. That's where they'll arrange your supervisions, so that's your small group teaching, that's where you'll live, that's where you'll dine at hall. If you take part in college level societies, they're the chill, smaller level societies where you can get involved in for the weekends on your free time. And of course there's university level societies and clubs as well. So there's Newnham College, which Zainab was at, I'm at Gomel & Keys, and they're just all different ones. They all have their different characters, so it's very worthwhile exploring what they are, understanding, if you value the rent, if you value GIPS, so if you value having kitchens and you want to cook, like I did, those are the kind of things you want to look at.
And even looking at the building itself.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
building feel, hang on,
Yeah.
I like, because back in Bangladesh when we study, this hostel is very nice because I can see a pond in front of the,
Exactly.
Yeah.
and also, two
Absolutely.
plants and, sometimes look at the physical environment,
Yeah.
physical
Yeah.
features.
Yes,
Physical
absolutely.
This is very good as well. I've got another question. I know this is very good. You both are brilliant. Do extracurricular interests help with applying to Oxford or Cambridge?
Not much.
I might disagree. I'll say maybe.
Okay, go on.
No, you go ahead. I know what you're going to say. And then I'll
Okay,
add on.
so Oxbridge tends to be very focused on you as academically. And so they definitely like to see it, and they're aware that other universities might prioritise extracurriculars, so definitely if you have things that you are passionate about, include it. They recommend about 10 to 20% of your personal statement can be extracurriculars, which is really, it's only 4,000 characters, so it's not going to be more than a short paragraph. But it depends, like for example, if you're applying for music and a lot of your extracurriculars are orchestras and things, or like playing an instrument, then obviously you're going to mention that because that's important to your subject. Yeah, exactly. So definitely include it if you have them, just don't let it overrun your personal statement. For example, I did a lot of drama at school, and that was something I mentioned. And depending on how close your relationship is with your teachers at your school, I asked mine to put a lot of my extracurricular stuff in my teacher reference. So then I didn't have to take up space in my personal statement to do that.
Would you like to share anything?
So yeah, I think Zainab's hit the nail on the head. So in terms of Oxbridge, they're looking at your supercurriculars, and you see this term thrown about a lot. That's about, you've got your A-levels, everyone's going to do them. But what Oxbridge want to see is how interested are you in your subject? How much are you going beyond the subject? Are you reading further? So as a medicine student, I was obviously, are you reading journals? Are you aware of the current medical developments? I'm not sure about classics, but are you attending lectures? Are you attending museums? How are you demonstrating that interest? And that's what needs to come through in your personal statement. But at the same time, extracurriculars help you develop yourself. And that's why I said maybe, because if you're undertaking sports, you're going to be part of a team. If you're performing drama, so I was an Oxbridge School Performing Arts student, so I was doing a lot of Abriti. So when you're doing that, you gain that confidence in terms of presenting, performing. So those kind of things will help you come the interview day. It will make you comfortable being in a new situation and talking to someone you've never met before. So I say more extracurricular. You should definitely do your studies, because I think that's really important. College, sixth form is a time to develop yourself. You've chosen A-levels that you are interested in, that you want to study. You're not fixed to 10 GCSEs or 12 GCSE or whatever. You're choosing stuff that you want to study. But at the same time, you don't want to be at the expense of your mental health. You don't want to apply just for Oxbridge at the expense of your mental health. Look into studies, look at developing yourself, enjoy yourself. I think it's 2 years, and then you're going into university, you're going into work. So you want to have that kind of personal development, I think.
Can I just come back on that
sure.
quickly? So with supercurriculars, as Asmain said, it's going above and beyond what your A-levels teach you, but that can take any form. So that can be reading journals and news articles and things like that, but it can be watching documentaries, listening to podcasts, even like for certain subjects, reading fiction that things are based on. So, for English, for example, there's this idea of what high literature is, but there is no such thing as high literature. And so if the reason that you as an English student, you read something like you read a teen fiction and that was what got you into reading more and engaging with literature, then absolutely do that. And with extracurricular, I'm not saying don't do extracurricular, because that was all I did with my degree. I love it. Well. I love it so much, and it's got so much personal benefit. Absolutely. I'm just saying you don't necessarily need to wax lyrical about it in your personal statement, or feel that you need to do lots of extracurriculars for the sake of going to university.
And also, all the universities, I'm not talking about only Oxford and Cambridge, all the leaders are coming out from there, the political leaders, whatever leaders you can say. So, it's a good idea to have extracurricular skills, and you explore that area as well. However, what is the deadline? I know you mentioned for applying to Cambridge or Oxford. Every year, what is the deadline?
October 15th.
October 15th, you mentioned that. So October 15th. Parents, আমরা কথা বলছি আমাদের আজকের টপিক অ্যাডমিশন অক্সব্রিজ অক্সফোর্ড এন্ড কেমব্রিজ অ্যাডমিশন এন্ড স্টাডির বিষয় নিয়ে কিছু ইনফরমেশন আমরা পাস করছি, বিকজ আপনারা যারা স্টুডেন্ট এবং বিশেষ করে প্যারেন্টস যারা, আমরা এনকারেজ করি ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশে আপনারা যেন অক্সফোর্ড কেমব্রিজে টার্গেট করেন। অবভিয়াসলি অন্য ইউনিভার্সিটি ভেরি গুড, বাট স্টিল they are world-class universities, number 2, number 3, number 4 এরকম ইউনিভার্সিটি। তো এই সমস্ত ইউনিভার্সিটিতে আমরা চাই মোর অ্যান্ড মোর ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশি স্টুডেন্ট যারা যাবে। এই যে আমাদের পাশে যদি স্টুডেন্ট জাইনাব অ্যান্ড আজমাইন, both of them, they are the current Zainab already finished her degree, so she already attached with she's working now, but she has got good connection with the university, and Azmain is still studying halfway through his medicine course. Now I will talk to you about your highlights, your experience, something I know we got still about 7-8 minutes to go, but we will talk about your experience, something you can remember you enjoyed, some kind of highlights. I'd like to hear, Zainab, from you first.
I think my friends, first and foremost. I was so lucky to meet the most incredible people, and I love them a lot, and we're from very diverse backgrounds, but we've had so much fun over the past 3 years, and I'm really sad that we're not ever going to be in the same place ever again. So that's definitely a thing. I think I was saying, don't knock away your extracurriculars. One of the big bonding things for me and my friends is we were all part of our college boat club. And most people come to Cambridge not knowing much about rowing at all, and so a lot of people start rowing from scratch. I started what's called coxing from scratch, and that's like a part of the rowing, and it's so much fun.
Wow.
and I absolutely loved it, and it's really, really amazing.
These are the positive sort of aspects of that.
Yeah.
Any struggle or any kind of negativity? I'm not something you don't want to say. Don't have to mention that.
No, of course. I do think that it's a very intense time being at any university, but especially those Cambridge terms are very short. You spend 8 weeks there and you're studying continuously, and there's no break in that. And that can
it's
be
like a full commitment and determination,
and also
will
just
force.
and not being able to kind of be in touch with your mental health a lot. So for me personally, I got diagnosed with ADHD at the start of May, and that was a month, 2 months before my final exams, and so that was a very, very scary thing to realise that I had a disability or a learning difficulty for a long, long time and not received adequate support for that. But alhamdulillah,
succeeded.
I succeeded, and I came through with marks that I was happy with, and I graduated.
Absolutely.
And so,
I'm sure your parents and relatives and also we are proud of you. You completed.
It's really, really great.
Great.
Thank you.
So you're resilient as well as you're persevered.
Yeah. But I'd definitely say just keep on top of your mental health. If you think something is wrong, and that's at school, that's at university, that's your whole life, just keep track of it. And if you need to ask someone for help, go and ask them for help. Yes.
As with your couple of highlights you can mention, and also any obstacle or struggle that you face, something you don't want to mention, don't have to mention.
Yeah. Well, I think Cambridge, the last 3 years have been fantastic. There are obviously difficulties, like Zainab said, it's academically intense. It is going to be, you are in a pressure cooker, right? But I think it's made me a better person now compared to when I started. Because going in, I was a clueless 18-year-old. And now, halfway through, I've got 1 degree in hand, I've got another one I'm working towards. It's been fantastic. I think I've developed a lot. My time management's definitely improved, I think, because handling multiple societies, so I was president.
With a leadership skill as well.
Definitely. I think it's a privilege of mine that I was able to be president of the Bangla Society for a year. I was also president of the Medical Society, and that was good fun, like my own subject. Sports, I'm not the most athletic person. I'm not going to the Olympics anytime soon. But
it's
again,
good for everyone.
I took up rowing this year, and that was a lot of fun. I play for the university archery team. I don't know how I managed to do that, but I think what Cambridge has taught me is throw yourself into it, and whatever happens will happen. I think it's taught me a different level of bravery, I guess, because it's very much been, it's university. I've met these wonderful people. It's a melting pot of culture, of ideas, of people from all over the world. And you have to put yourself out there. Even if you're not the best in it, you don't have to be the best in something. I think what I've realized, I was a very competitive person. I am a very competitive person. And I wanted to be the best in everything. But I've realized, actually, you don't necessarily have to be. Throw yourself in. There's still something to learn from failures. There's still something to learn just from showing up, just from gaining that experience on a day-to-day basis. So it's been wonderful 3 years. I'm looking forward to 3 more.
Wow, this is great. Any kind of, I'm not talking negativity, I would say, struggle, but as Zainab mentioned, she succeeded later. Mm-hmm. Anything you would like to say that you face is a problem, you already faced that, but you succeeded, or you think that can be,
I think
one of the...
Again, I guess time management, because if you are going to take a lot of things on, so this year, again, I was a bit worried about, am I doing too much with the extracurriculars, or am I not spending enough time on my degree? But I mean,
routine mainly.
It came through. I topped my class. I was very happy.
You priority to one thing, and then you miss out other thing. You don't want to do that.
But it worked out in the end. It worked out, and it's wonderful.
Both of you now. I know you can take a couple of minutes to talk about. You've got about 4 minutes to go. Mm-hmm. So, Zainab, I'm going to ask you first to give any tips to those students or parents that are watching the program tonight and they're aiming maybe in the year or next year after to go to Oxford or Cambridge. What can they do? Just few tips.
Be confident in yourself. That is what I would say first and foremost. It can be really scary, and even now I don't understand how I got in, how I made it through, and that's a thing that a lot of people become familiar with when they get older. It's called imposter syndrome. It's very, very scary. But I definitely say do it if you think you have the potential to do it, and push yourself, believe in yourself. Even if you're starting year 13 in a few weeks and you're not sure about it, you've still got, it's August now, you've got 2 and a bit months. If you think that you have the potential to go to Oxbridge and succeed at it, do it. Just apply. There is nothing bad that happens if you apply and don't get in, because you have 4 other amazing university options to choose from.
And what kind of support can parents give?
Help them, advise them if they ask for it. Don't pressure them too much. My parents kind of just let,
And
you know,
particularly with the subjects. Okay, you have to study
Yes.
this, study that. No.
Absolutely. You know, my parents both have chemistry degrees, and I did a humanities degree that most people haven't heard of. Going into sixth form, they knew that I wasn't going to do sciences at my A-levels. They asked me to do maths. I didn't want to do maths, and I did it just to please them. So there's always an element of compromise. So if you think something will be good for your child, definitely advise them. My dad's sitting outside, and he's going to be very, very smug about this now. So kids, definitely listen to your parents. You don't necessarily always have to take their advice on board. Parents, give your advice, but be prepared to be told no. Don't pressure
Talk.
Compromise.
Compromise. Absolutely. Asbin.
I'd say apply. I think
Yeah.
that's my main message. Apply.
Apply.
Don't deselect yourself. Put yourself out there. Like Zainab said, there are 5 UCAS choices. Oxbridge is only going to be 1. Oxbridge isn't the be-all and end-all. I mean, if you don't get an undergrad, there are postgrad options. Do a master's afterwards. Do a PhD afterwards. No problem. But what I'd say is, don't stop yourself. Don't deselect yourself thinking, I'm not built for Oxbridge. No one is built for Oxbridge. We've done 3 years. I don't think I'm built for Oxbridge still.
It's a cliche.
We have got 30 seconds to finish.
Yeah.
Then, anything to parents?
Support them. Don't be an obstacle. Help them, encourage them, and be there for them. I think that's the most important message for them.
Thank you, Azman Zarif. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for
Fantastic advice you have provided, and so many things we do. Zainab, thank you very much. I know we missed you for first segment,
No,
but
it's
definitely
fine.
married.
Thank you
and
for having
said
me.
So many things. প্রিয় দর্শক, আমরা কথা বললাম, আজকের টপিক ছিল অক্সব্রিজ অ্যাডমিশনস অ্যান্ড স্টাডিজ। অক্সফোর্ড এবং কেমব্রিজ ইউনিভার্সিটি দুটো বিষয় নিয়ে আমরা কথা বললাম, স্টাডি, এবং আমাদের স্টুডেন্টরা কিন্তু যাচ্ছে ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশ। আমরা চাই আরও যাবে। এই যে অনেকগুলো বিষয়ে কথা বললাম, অ্যাডমিশনের প্রসিজিওরগুলো কথা বললাম, তারা কিছু টিপস দিয়ে গেল। প্যারেন্টসদের কাছে আমাদের অনুরোধ, বাচ্চাদেরকে বলবেন এইম হাই করতে, এক্সপেকটেশন হাই করতে, এবং সেলফ মোটিভেটেড টু স্টাডি, টু কমিট দেমসেলভস to go to those world famous universities. Obviously other universities are good, but still we want to see our more British Bangla students are going to Oxford and Cambridge. Definitely they are the world class 1 universities, number 2 or number 3 or number 4 maybe within 10. So আমরা চাই আমাদের ব্রিটিশ বাংলাদেশ স্টুডেন্ট আরো ভালো করবে, এবং আগামীতে আমরা প্রোগ্রাম নিয়ে আসবো কথা বলার জন্য। আপনারা আমাদের সাথে থাকবেন, আমাদের বাচ্চাদেরকে এনকারেজ করবেন to aim high, to succeed. Thank you very much.